Hello.
Welcome back to Horse Center. My internet's been a little flaky still, but we are happy to be here. I am Wild Jamie. My amazing co-host Swiss Army Sean is with me as always. And our special guest tonight is one of my favorite people because he is the Presque Isle Downs announcer, and that is Jeff Cernick. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
We are absolutely thrilled to have you. I got to say, wonderful job that you do there at Presque Isle, especially today as you were announcing Willie Martinez's 2 winners. So thank you for that.
He rode very well. He's having a great meet, that's for sure.
Awesome. So tell us how you originally got started in racing.
Well, I worked as a DJ for 15 years in Massachusetts, and I used to go to OTB in my spare time. And there was a guy that sold tip sheets for Dennis March at Tampa Bay Downs and at the Barrington Fair, the Northampton Fair, and mainly Saratoga. And I looked up to him and I said, I want to do that. I want to call horse races. He says, you'll never get in. You got to know somebody. I got out of radio and I went to St. Pete, Florida, tried out for the announcer job at Derby Lane. I was their second choice, and they hired the guy from Tampa Highline, Jim Peake, great voice for racing. And so I got his job at the Fronton in Tampa. I was the second of 2 announcers, and I had never seen Highlight before in my life, but I had a voice for it, so they let me do it. And I was there for about a year doing play-by-play for Highlight. And the dog track called me back up and said, hey, we need an analyst for our TV show, recap show. Are you interested? I said, sure. And I went over and talked to him, and I got that job. I was there for 6 months that 1 year. And it was only a seasonal meet, so they laid me off there, and I went back home to Massachusetts, where I grew up in Tyringham, Massachusetts. That's right on the New York State border. And I used to go with a friend of mine up to Hinsdale Greyhound Park in New Hampshire, about an hour and a half away, to bet the horses all the time. And I was on unemployment from the job in St. Pete, and I applied there for the job just because you had to fill out 2 or 3 applications a week to continue taking your unemployment. And he said, no, we don't need anybody right now. And I was up there the very next week, and the owner, Joe Sullivan, who was actually son of the Patriots owner years ago. And he says, are you still interested in coming here and work? I said, yeah. He goes, well, do you think you can do it? I said, I know I can do it. And I started 2 days later, and the dog announcer that was there ended up going to Mile High Stadium in Denver and worked there. I stayed at Hinsdale for about 2 years. And during that time, Frank Marimati got the job at the Great Barrington Fair. They were trying to bring the fair back in Massachusetts. And Frank got the job to call races, and I begged him to let me call a race. And thanks to Frank Marimati, I love the guy, man. He did me right. And he let me call a race. And from calling dog races, I kept saying, so-and-so number 3. And I got the numbers in there, and people were laughing at me because I called the horse race with numbers. But after that, I got a job in West Virginia at a racetrack down there. I was caller for 15 years, replaced Costi Karras, one of the immortal voices. He trained with Frank Capicella in New York, and he called races there in West Virginia for 30 years. And he was getting so his knees were bad, he couldn't go up and down the stairs. And they were looking for a new announcer, and they hired me. And I actually called horses with numbers there for about a year until the manager said, we got to get away from this. So I accommodated them and, got used to not doing it. And when we parted ways at Charlestown, I went on to, where did I go from there? I went to Oklahoma. I was calling quarter horse races at Will Rogers Downs and at the Fair Meadows meet in Tulsa. And I was there for a couple of years, and they decided, I was a TV handicapper for Will Rogers and just called the quarter horse meet. They decided they didn't want to spend the money, and they made the regular announcer call both meets down there. And I was laid off again, and I ended up, through a great friend of mine, Izzy Trehall. He's now the head of the racing in New Mexico, and he had worked as a steward when I was at Charlestown. And he turned around and told me, hey, they're desperate for placing judges down in Delta Downs. So I applied there. I got the job. I went down there. I worked for a whole year. I got to fill in for the track announcer there at Delta Downs and for Evangeline once or twice. Don Stevens, I mean, he's a real good friend of mine. He's probably one of the classiest announcers in the country. I got to know him very well, and I respect him wholeheartedly. And from there, COVID came and got laid off again. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, he calls me up and he says, "Are you interested in going to Pennsylvania? They're dying for an announcer." And they gave me Pimo's phone number to call him, and I talked briefly with him. I went through an interview with Matt Ennis, our director of racing, on the phone, and they said, "How soon can you be here?" They gave me like 12 days to move from Louisiana and get up here for the first day of racing, and I've been here ever since.
That is so cool. I love that story. So what was it like calling greyhounds? That sounds pretty interesting.
Well, you see, I grew up with greyhounds because me and my friends, when we were in high school, used to sneak up the Green Mountain Greyhound track. It was about an hour and 20 minutes away from where we were going to high school in Lee, Massachusetts. And we'd go up there and pet the dogs all the time. And we probably shouldn't have been there, but they never threw us out. So, and so I got my start there gambling on horse dog racing, and I tried desperately to get that job when I was working in radio back in Massachusetts, but they wouldn't even consider me. The girl had connections that was calling the dog races there, and she was there, and they weren't going to let anybody else in. I actually got into betting horse racing when I was in 5th or 6th grade. My parents dragged me to the Great Barrington Fair. I lived like 15, 20 minutes away from there in my backyard. And I wanted to stay and play football or baseball with my friends in the park, but they made me go. And my mother let me bet an exact in the first race. I boxed 1-3. The thing came in, paid $137. My mother hands me $5 to go play the carnival games. The rest is paying for your school clothes.
Wow, you got the raw end of that deal, but I guess that's the parent tax.
Yeah.
What about the quarter horses? How are they to call?
I'd love to go back and call quarter horses. I have a real quick response. They're over in like 12 to 20 seconds, so you only call 3 or 4 horses. And I just love I'd love to get back into quarter horse racing if I could find a meet somewhere outside of the Presque Isle Downs meet.
And then how is it from going to different tracks like that? What's the difference with calling the races, say, at a Charlestown versus a Presque Isle?
Charlestown is a bull ring, and unfortunately, I saw a lot of horses break down there. I mean, more so than any other track that I ever went to. But it was a bull ring. I used a lot lesser strength binocular back in those days because of it was a half-mile track. I had to upgrade when I came here to Presque Isle Downs because it's such a bigger track, and I also had to upgrade another pair when I was filling in at Will Rogers Downs when John Lees was on vacation. So I would call the races there, and that's a full mile track.
Wow. So you have some big races coming up at Presque Isle Downs too. I'm looking over some of these names. Talk about these names coming next week.
All right, we have 3 stakes races on the card. The 4th race is going to be the Dobbins Landing Handicap. It'll be a $50,000 purse. And the track record holder here at Presque Isle Downs, Shirley Furious, is entered in that race. Glenn Wismer has 1 horse in this weekend. I believe I can't remember what track it's in. If he wins down there, it's his 800th career win. If he doesn't win, he's got a great chance on Monday night here at Presque Isle Downs. He has 3 horses entered, and probably in the 4th race, Shirley Furious, he put in the Dobbins Landing rather than go against the big boys. He's got the track record. He loves 6 furlongs. He's very versatile. Goes any distance he wants. He's won as many races going long as he has short. But he does have the track record. The track record is 107.77.
Wow.
Now he's going to have a major contender. There's a horse called Close the Game Sugar. Ran 2nd here at Presque Isle Downs in the start here, but he went on to win 2 races at Saratoga. And it's weird because Jose Ortiz rode this horse all the time at Saratoga and here, and Irod is picking up the mount here. I mean, I don't think Irod's been here before, but he's definitely coming this year. He's got quite a few live horses. Jose ended up on a horse called Super Success. I've got him 8-1 on the morning line, but it really on paper looks like a 2-horse race. I put Close of the Game Sugar. That's Adam Rice with Irad Ortiz, because anything Irad rides, they're going to bet. I got him 8-5. Track record holder Shirley Furious 9-5. Main contender with Antonio Gallardo, who's winning the Colonial meet. He was the leading rider down there this year, and he's second in the standings behind Pablo here. Pablo wins every single time here, and Pablo's on a horse in that race called Nighttime. There is a ton of speed in this race, and we've got a ton of rain coming this weekend. And historically, I've seen when this track gets a lot of rain in it, it favors the closers. So Pablo could be live. He's 5-1 on the morning line, third or fourth choice. Definitely got a chance, but you know the main two are the 5 and 6. The other two big races on the track will be the 15th running the Presque Isle Mile. They've stretched that race out to a mile and a 16th now, and the big favorite there will be Wolfie's Dynaghost. This horse has a ton of speed, and we'll see how he does and how the track is playing that day. But he looks like the horse to go. We made him 8-5 on the morning line. The other horse that's 5-2 is Carruthers. Carruthers is an incredible horse as well. He won an optional claimer on 9-13 here at Presque Isle Downs, and he was beat by Tyson, a great horse at Woodbine last time out in the stakes race. He'll be the main contender. And also got to look out for a horse called Franz Joseph, another one of Glenn Wismer's horse. Those two horses ran 1-2 in a stakes race here this year. It looks like Franz Joseph was going to win the race, but Shirley Furious got out of traffic trouble, came through, ended up getting the win. So he had the exacta that day. And the other horse that's going to be a big chance is Hush of a Storm. That's William Morey shipping in. He's 6-1 on the morning line. And he's a mess, won very impressively here at Presque Isle Downs. Last time he ran here, he picks up Jose Ortiz to be the rider. And he threw in a clunker at Saratoga. They went up to tackle the big boys there, did not fire, but he's back here where he likes this track very much and could be a major threat here. Now, the big race is the 15th running of the Grade 2 Presque Isle Masters. That's our big race. It'll be the 7th race on the card that day. Approximate post time for that big race will be about 5:42. Tracks usually run a little late, so maybe closer to 5:45, 5:50. But the big horse coming in there will be, where is he? 7-5. Roses for Deborah. I remember when this horse broke his maiden here at Presque Isle Downs. He won the race. He got disqualified for interference in the stretch. Went on to win a couple more here. Went up to Saratoga, won. And right now, this horse has won. Let me look at my program here. He's almost undefeated. He's only lost one race and disqualified and placed second in the other race. He is going to be the horse to beat without a doubt. And it's weird because Jose has rode that horse before. Irad picks up the mount, and he is going to be on the favorite in the Presque Isle Miles. He'll be breaking from post number 7. That horse won last time out at Saratoga in the Smart and Fancy Stakes. He won the Caress Grade 3 race at Saratoga. He won a $80,000 optional claimer at Belmont. Back on May 19th at Pimlico, he won an optional claimer there. And of course, at Presque Isle Downs, he has won 3 out of 4, and it would be a perfect 4 out of 4 if he wasn't disqualified in his debut back in May of 23. And he loves all weather, in the money, 4 of 4 with those 3 wins. Now, the other horse coming in from Woodbine will be a major threat, has the numbers. I made that horse 7-5, Roses for Deborah. With Ortiz on him, he's probably going to get bet down to 4-5 or even money, depending on how the track is playing that day. But Loyalty chips in for Josie Carroll from Woodbine. This horse is coming off a Grade 3 win in the Hendry Stakes at Woodbine. Before that, it won an optional claimer $80,000 race. I hate this horse, the jockey's name, Kamara. What's his name? If I look at
it, yeah.
I always mess it up.
He was here last year for most of the meet at Presque Isle Downs, and then he got hurt and he laid off. And he's coming back here for a stakes race, so he knows the track. This horse has won at Presque Isle Downs. He beat Majestic D'Oro in the Lady Erie Stakes. That was back last year on August 8th of 22. So he knows the track. He's he's sired by Hardspun, and Hardspuns love this racetrack without a doubt. So he will be a major player in the Master Stakes. I got him second choice at 5-2. Third choice is going to be Accomplished Girl, a very lightly raced horse for Joseph Safi, or Safi Jonas, and he's only raced 3 or 4 times, but his numbers figure that he could very well be a player. The other horse we got to look out for is the 3, Marissa's Lady. William Morey brought this horse into Presque Isle Downs, won a stakes race here a month ago or so. Pablo's back aboard, and anything Pablo rides here at Presque Isle Downs is live, as you know. He's the leading rider ever since I've been here, 4 years anyway.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing that some races he goes off at 5-1?
It's incredible. It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
I guess some horses just get forgotten once in a while.
Yeah. Every time I see that and then he wins, I'm like, I don't know what people are thinking, but that's easy money. Talk about that morning line process a little bit and the difference with the big races coming up on Monday compared to your regular day.
Well, on big days, the big jockeys come in, and the Ortizes are going to take action. Kazuchi Kamara is going to take action because people know him. Christian Torres is going to take money just because people know those jockeys. Jose Ortiz is going to take money. So you have a tendency to take the Ortiz brothers and knock them down a notch because you know they're going to get that more than they should be. And every day, Pablo Morales, Gallardo, a very live Martina Rojas, the bug girl, man, she is doing incredibly here at this track. Probably doesn't have enough wins to get the Apprentice Rider of the Year. I think she's like 100 wins behind the guy that's leading the charge there. But she is riding incredibly. She went up to Timonium this year in Maryland, won 3 races the first day she was there. She just... You're looking at her, you say, this girl can't have any strength in her arms. How does she ride horses like this? But the way she moves horses around the track is just incredible. Yeah, and of course, Gallardo wins. Like we added, Gadiel Martinez came to our track last year. He is racing fantastic as well. He's not keeping up with the Gallardo and the Pablo, but a lot of that isn't the horses that you get for mounts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just got to catch up on some comments here. You got a lot of fans. Jordan Park says, Jeff is a fantastic announcer. Love his calls at Presque Isle. Willie Martinez says, my man, Jeff, keep up the good work. And I love this comment from Grandma Horse Racing. He's reading PPs like he's calling a race. Get it. I love that. And then Jordan has a great question. When calling a big race at Presque Isle, does it up your excitement level?
Absolutely, but it's more or less the crowd. When you have a crowd of people down there watching the races, the enthusiasm just gets into you. When you look out there someday and it's raining and there's nobody out there in the front apron, it's sort of lonely and downer. But when people are here, it's incredible. And last year, the Masters Day was huge. I mean, the first 2 years they didn't run the Masters here, but last year it was like packed out there.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to ask too. With it being on a Monday, how packed does it get?
It's incredible how packed it gets. And I know our handle is up. We moved the post time from 4:45 3 years ago to 1:30 last year. And the handle was okay. But when we moved it to 3 o'clock this year, our handle is going through the roof. And that's probably a lot to do with the coverage we're getting on TVG, I guess now it's called FanDuel. And
yep.
I'm so excited. FanDuel is going to be here on Monday, and one of the best female handicappers in the country is going to be here. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No,
Peyton
who?
Bradar.
Exactly.
Oh, very cool.
I'm a big fan.
You work for TVG. That doesn't count. Okay,
I didn't actually know. Jeff broke the news to me.
Oh, okay, very cool. I love.
No,
that.
she was talking about me, but no, you broke the news to me. I didn't know who was going. I know Perloff said he wanted to come out because he heard all good things about the Masters and he would gladly take the Presque Isle trip, but I guess he didn't get it.
I guess not. But I remember Bradar at Saratoga when she was covering the races at Saratoga. And I don't know how many times I'd like 2 or 3 horses. I'd wait for her paddock review, and she'd just point to horses by the looks, and she'd win 3, 4, 5 races in a row, and I'd put her horse with the ones I like and made some money. But she's not there no more.
Yeah.
But
Well, she'll be there live and in person at Presque Isle Monday, so be sure to get some good tips from her.
okay, well, we can't bet on the races. We're race officials, so we just have to watch.
Well, us watching at home, we'll get good tips from her.
Okay.
So you've actually been to so many different racetracks. Which one has been your favorite so far?
Presque Isle Downs, of course.
Okay, all right. Don't worry, your boss isn't watching. You're safe.
I mean, it was weird coming up here during COVID because a lot of people shied away from new people. They didn't want to be associated with people. They were afraid of the COVID. I mean, the friendliest people I ever met was down in Oklahoma. There's such a great people that I used to go out to the brewery every Wednesday night. We do a beer share, and we'd have 12 different kinds of beer. We'd all take a little 2-ounce sample of it, and I had some great beers out there, and I love being out there.
Awesome. Love that. And what is the best part of your job? What do you like more, making the morning line odds or doing the announcing?
Doing the announcing, without a doubt. I mean, the morning line is just routine now. I go through, I try not to let my handicapping affect it whatsoever. I use figures on Brisnet, and I calculate according to that and get a morning line. Then I look at the figures on Equibasis program and see if there's any class advantage that I don't see from Twinspire, and I'll adjust it accordingly. And it's just people that I've talked to that do the morning line, they say it takes them 3 hours to do a morning line. 8-race card, I go through and I've got it done in an hour because numbers wise, my mathematics skills are incredible. I can just add, subtract numbers in my head. I know 5 to 2 is 28 points, 3 to 1 is 25 points, 7 to 2 is 22 points, 5 to 1 is 16 points, and it has to add up to about 127. You mark it down to 124 if it's a 6-horse field, or if it goes to a 10-horse field, you allow yourself up to 129 points. So, and a lot of times I know for a fact when I see a 10 or 12 horse field, they're going to scratch horses out of there. Not all 10 are going to go. So I'll have a tendency to go a little over the 127. I had to do it in the Masters because it's a 12 horse field and I didn't really want to insult any horse. And I know there's every stakes race like that, there's going to be 1 or 2 scratches. So I just figure a couple scratches are going to bring it down to what it's supposed to be, and it has a better chance of being correct, making it a few points over than doing it exactly.
Oh, where were you when I was going through all of my math trials trying to become a pharmacist? My goodness, I needed your help.
I remember when I was in 5th grade, I left I grew up in Perringham. We went to a 1-room schoolhouse, like Little House on the Prairie. 180-year-old teacher taught all 4 grades. We averaged anywhere from 12 to 15 kids in those grades. And then we went up to the big school in Lee, Mass, where there was 120 kids in 5th grade. And my homeroom teacher was a math teacher. And she's being a smart aleck, and she put this big multiplication addition problem up on the board. It was like 3 billion divided by or multiplied by this billion, and I went up there and I did the puzzle like, and it was done. And I just like shocked everybody. And I had straight A's in math all my life until I got to algebra. Letters and numbers don't mix in my mind.
That's when math started making sense for me. And 1 second, Sean, I just got to say this comment because it cracks me up. Terry Hayes says he's done a great show so far. Definitely does not have to refund the money for the YouTube subscription.
Well, it's a good thing it was free. It was no pressure, right?
Nah. I was in radio for 15 years, here on the TV show with Pat for the last 4 years. So it's all second nature to me. I did a lot of acting when I was in grade school. I played Doc in West Side Story. I played Renfield in Dracula. I love that play that we did. And I was going around like this, pretending I was eating flies and stuff like that. People loved it.
Oh my, that's entertaining.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite type of race to call, and what's the one that's the hardest part to call?
Hardest part to call is a 12-horse field. Anytime you get number 11 or 12 into a race, they I go by the cap color. So at a big track, I probably would be lost because they wear different color caps every races. And I feel sorry for the girl at Parks because she has to deal with that every day. And that is so much tougher to do, to call a horse race when the caps aren't the same color every single time. Now, Fred Lipkin, when he trained me to be an announcer, he showed me how to take the markers. You write down the color of the silks, and then you memorize the names and the colors of the silks. And that's how you do it. I more or less look at that color when I can't see the caps, but I mainly go by the caps because that's the easiest thing to spot out there. Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Plus, oh gosh, I don't know. I think being a track announcer has to be one of the hardest jobs out there. I just cannot fathom learning and then unlearning all of these names every single race, like 10 times a day. I just don't know how you guys do it. It blows my mind.
Well, you almost have to have somewhat of a photographic memory. Now, I don't have the photographic memory that Trevor Denman has. I mean, he doesn't even put color markers on his paper. He just knows them in his head and calls races. My hero, as far as a track announcer, was Tom Durkin. Growing up in Massachusetts, I lived right on the New York border. When I originally started betting horses, you went to OTB in New York, you couldn't bet all the other tracks. You bet Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, Finger Lakes, and the harness tracks at night. And if you were lucky during the summer, a stakes race from Pimlico or Churchill Downs, they offer that as a bonus. And then at 7 o'clock in New York, they actually shut off the harness thoroughbreds. You couldn't bet other thoroughbred tracks at night. All you could bet was the harness tracks because they wanted to beef up the money in their harness pools.
Wow.
I made a great bet one time at a harness race. I went over to OTV at night. I made money during the afternoon, and there was a race coming in from Chicago, and there was a coupled entry, 1 to 9. At OTV in New York, they weren't a coupled entry. They were separate wagering. They had their own pools, and I said, I'm going to box the 1 and the 1A. So it was 1 and 2, and I boxed the exacta. Doesn't the other half of the entry come in and pay like $60? The exacta was $137 for $2 with the entry running 1-2.
Wow.
But at the track, it only paid $6 or $7.
Interesting. So cool. So what are some of the most difficult horse names that you have ever come across to pronounce? Because I've seen some doozies out there.
Probably the funniest one was a horse that was called Good Night Drive Safely. Okay. And I was working with Frank Carulli at the time, and went on the track, and I looked at the abbreviation all the way around the track. I called it Good Night Drives a Fly. And Frank Carulli comes down and he goes, "You idiot."
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. What happened?
He's right back.
Oh, he's back. Okay, cool. Oh, look, Sean. Oh, there. Okay, Jeff, we got you back. I don't know what happened, but you're here again. We're good.
Okay.
Okay, so continue with the story.
So Frank Carulli came down and he goes, "You idiot, it's Good Night Drive Safely." But the way it was abbreviated, it looked like Good Night Drives a Fly to me.
Okay, yeah.
And there was one horse, I think Kravitz was the trainer, and the name was Pull My Chain. And when it came down the stretch, I couldn't resist. I called it purposely Pull My Finger.
Oh, oh my goodness. I love that.
Nobody called it really, but
some of those names, I cannot figure out what they're trying to say. Like, I know they're being cute with the little abbreviations, but I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I hear the track announcer say it, and I'm like, oh, got it. Okay.
When they run together, me and Pat were talking about a horse last week, and now on the top of my head, I can't think of it, but it's run all over the country. It ran in California, ran in New York, it ran here, ran there. And a lot of times I'll go back to the replays on Twin Spires and see what the other announcers called the race, so I can do what they did. And this one particular horse, poor thing, has been called 4 different names in his career. I mean, Trevor Denman called it one name, Frank Maramati called it another name, and there was another announcer that called it another name. And even when it came here the first time, I called it the 4th different name.
Oh,
so I wish I could remember what that horse's name was. It'll come to me probably in the middle of the night. I'll wake up at 3 o'clock. Oh, that's the one.
So John Da Silva's comment there on my cable system, Long Island OTB channel would turn into the Playboy channel at 8 p.m. Sounds like that channel was staying on all day.
Yeah, that sounds like a confession, John. I don't know. That sounds like a personal confession there. Here we go. Oh, let's see. So there was once a horse named I Like the Organ, and the owner wanted an announcer to say, I like the organ in front. Okay, interesting. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. This is rated for adults, so we're good.
Well, this is not broadcast television, so we can swear all we want.
Yeah, there we go. We can say all the horse names the way that
And
they
I
were
mean,
intended.
the worst thing that could happen is we're not going to get our free paycheck anymore. That's completely free.
Yeah.
That's a zero.
This is a
Good
true
point,
story.
John.
At Saratoga, there was a horse one time called Heart On.
Oh,
And Durkin called the race, and he said, Julie Crone riding, and I'll leave it blank. The stewards made them change to the Heart One next time their horse ran.
oh my goodness, that is hilarious. Wow.
And there was another one that was a Yiddish term at Saratoga, didn't even get by the stewards. And I don't know if I should, it was a Yiddish term, and it sounded like Mada, whatever, and they made them change the horse's name completely. But it's really a Yiddish term, but
Yeah.
in Yiddish it's not a swear, but in the United States it was pretty offensive.
Yeah, that is hilarious. Oh my goodness, I love it.
So what about taking care of your voice as you're announcing? Are there some things and tricks that you have to do to keep your voice fresh and make sure you're ready to go each day?
It was weird. When I first got into radio, I had a very nasal voice, and somebody taught me to speak from the throat. All your words have to form from the throat. And ever since then, I've had a deep voice, and it's been great for me. And it just, if I do get a sore throat, the remedy is gargle with salt water 3 or 4 times. If you're calling races, get some water with lemon in it, and it works miracles.
Wonderful. See, I could have told you that. I'm a pharmacist, so you're doing all the right things. I'm very proud of you. Oh, okay, we've got another story from John here. John, keep it coming. I love all the tea you're spilling. Stewards in New York made an owner change the horse name from Bumbaclot after they found out what it was. I don't know what that is. Does someone want to enlighten me? John, do tell. Text me.
I was waiting for the failure on you saying it, that it was going to be real funny, but I really didn't.
I don't know what it is. I know.
Now John's laughing because all 3 of us are missing it.
John, I'm waiting for the text. Okay, let me know. I need to know here.
What about your favorite call you've ever made personally on any track?
That's a tough one, because I'm like there's people, when I did a quarter horse race at Will Rogers Downs, and the trainer was just like ecstatic about the way I described it. It was like, whoa, up the inside, and I don't even remember what the horse was. I never went back and listened to the race. They go in and out of my head, so many race calls, it's really, that's a real tough thing to come up with an answer for that one.
Oh, I've got a great comment here, and this is so true. The best call was at Monmouth, down to the wire. My wife knows everything, and my wife doesn't know. That was a classic. That went really viral. Hilarious.
It sure did. One of my favorite calls of all was Trevor Denman. I remember there was a race where at the finish, he said, neither horse deserves to lose, or something along those lines. And it was so perfect it was a big grade stakes race when he did it too. I mean, I wish I had his vocabulary. I wish I had his wit. I try to have his wit, but I don't come across like he did.
Oh, you do a wonderful job, though. We very much appreciate you. I watch you more than anyone, because obviously I try to catch the Presque Isle races almost every day. I missed them today because life was crazy, but 9 times out of 10, I'm there listening, and you do a wonderful job.
I tried to call him Say Hey Willie, like as in Willie Mays one time, but it didn't catch on. Everybody likes the most nickname for him.
Yeah, Chili Willie. Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, I actually think I've said that on a race call. Willie Martinez sitting chili on a horse that has something to do with frozen or coolness or something like that.
Oh, yeah. There you go. I love it.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Do you have any notes like that when you see a horse and you're like, if I can work this line in, I'm going to work it, or does it all come kind of just at the moment?
There's a horse here that's in on Masters Day. He's 20-1 on the morning line, tons of speed, and every time he runs, I do my chicken call on him. And I should find the program and figure out what race is it. Oh man, now you've got me. But the horse is Chicken Man. Every time he runs, I go, "Bah, bah, 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 Chicken Man," and I'm dying for him to win, because next time this horse wins, the call is going to be Chicken Man trying to get loose because Colonel Sanders wants to cook his goose. And that's a line from a song that was like a rip off of a Talking Heads song, and that's one of the lines there. Psycho Chicken is the name of that song, and they use that line in that song.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll definitely be listening for that one. That's going to be hard to miss.
I'm saving it for when he wins, though, but he's tailed off. He doesn't have the form he had last year, but we've had a couple horses like that. Didn't look like much at the beginning of the year, and as they gradually get better in shape, they go on to win easily.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Sean. Well, you know that we're well over our half hour, so get in your last question so we can let Mr. Jeff get back to work here.
Well, I'll ask, besides announcing races and watching horse racing all day long, what are some of your hobbies?
I used to play golf, but then I determined that the pain I suffered 3 days after was no longer worth it as I got older. I'm 61 now, and golf does not play well with me. But I grew up, my family played cards all the time. I learned to play pinochle when I was 6 years old. We played poker when I was 5. And so I'm online a lot of times playing double deck pinochle, euchre, or else canasta, sometimes cribbage, and they're all free tournaments. Poker, I love to play online, and it's great that it's legal here in Pennsylvania. I was one time playing poker online, and we snowed out at the racetrack, so I had the night off. I entered a $5 tournament. I ended up winning that tournament for $300, something like that. But halfway through the tournament, the screen popped up and said I had a free chance to win a ticket trip to the World Series of Poker. And half the people weren't even there, so I'm just raising blinds, stealing blinds all the way around. All of a sudden, I get pocket aces, and there's one person on the table who plays with me and goes all in. So I pocket aces, I called all in, and he beats me. So I lost all my chips. I said, well, this is pretty easy. I won the other tournament. I'll pay a $35 rebuy and get back in. I got back in. I got to the final tables. There's 3 people left. We knocked out the low man, and the stack leader had like 2 million chips more than me. And I catch pocket queens. Oh. So I raise, he raises me back. I raise, he goes all in. I had to call him. The river is a king. He's got ace king. If he doesn't catch that king, I get a free trip to the World Series of Poker. I love playing poker.
That's so cool though. Wow.
And another time I was playing a 25 cent, 50 cent limit Texas Hold'em, and I ended up with pocket 4s, and I flopped 3 of a kind. On the river comes up a 5. He's got 4 of a kind, 4 5s. On the river, I catch my 4th 4. He wins the $37 pot, but I got $2,300 in a bad beat jackpot.
Wow. That's awesome. Okay, I need to start doing this. Sean, what are we doing? I'll see you online poker.
Yeah. The players are a lot better these days than they were 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I mean, we've got tons of comments. People are just absolutely loving all of your great info and your awesome calls at Presque Isle. So we really, really appreciate you. And we'll be watching you the rest of the summer.
All righty.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thanks, Jeff.
Oh, man, he's full of fun stories, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And what John Da Silva sent us, I don't think we can say. So just don't say it's Jamaican slang. Everybody can figure it out from there. Type that word in Jamaican slang. I'm not going to say what that means.
Okay, I will definitely have to investigate. I can't wait. I know. I saw a notification pop up on my phone, but I was afraid to check it because I didn't want, get all crazy in the middle of the interview.
You're gonna laugh, and so will everybody else. But I'm not repeating those words.
Fair enough. Awesome. Well, what else have we got going on, Sean?
Tomorrow, the guys will be back. I'm not sure what track or who's going to be on. Rich and Charles, I guess. It is opening day of Churchill, so maybe they're doing Churchill.
Awesome.
Terry's in here somewhere. Maybe he'll comment. We'll just have to start telling him as soon as the guests leave a comment so we know what's going on.
Yeah. Come on, Terry.
We'll be back next week for a full week, I believe. I haven't announced the guests yet. I'm not sure on Tuesday and Wednesday who the guests are. Monday, we have younger jockey Lindsay Herbert, who will be our guest. So I will announce that on social, and it's Rich and Thomas. There we go.
Is it Herbert or is it Bear?
It might be. You know what? I'll have to find out.
I messed up Jeff's names tonight, so you can mess up her name on Monday.
There's one of many reasons I couldn't be a track announcer. But there are names that I really butcher that just,
Same. Absolutely. I think it's the hardest job out there. I don't know. I feel like, with training and whatnot, I could do a lot of things out there. No shot. I could never be a track announcer. Never. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. The trainer thing, it's really hard. But then there's sometimes they interview trainers and I'm like, I'm not so sure. Like, they just have no personality, no nothing. That's why the trainers we bring on, for the most part, do have personality, but we don't bring on trainers every day because they are very that's all they focus on, and that's,
yeah. We've had a few really good trainers, though.
That's what I'm saying. We don't bring them on. We learned that early on, though. You got to bring on the right ones.
And thank you, John. Appreciate you. Awesome. All right. Well, we hope that we will see you for that show tomorrow. We hope we'll see you next week. Please follow, like, subscribe on all of the social media. We are Horse Race the number 2 day. It's absolutely free to do so. Yes. And I'm going to interrupt you, but I'm going to plug you. So, and again, Jamie, next time we'll be on TV. We'll be on Saturday for Woodbine. So it won't be here. It won't be here, but if we find a link or whatever, we can definitely share it. So, I appreciate that. I'll send that to you, Sean. Yes, I'm super, super excited. Hopefully I don't make a fool out of myself. That internet should work fine, so you guys will see me in real time. And Jamie's done a handicap. Something you don't see on Horse Center is Jamie handicapping. She's done a handicap, so definitely tune in. I'm not good at handicapping, but damn, you can't see that. I'm very lucky. It doesn't. Okay, there you go. I don't know what I'm doing, but for some reason, I just always win. I don't know. It's luck. That's the best strategy usually. You don't know what you're doing, but you find a way. Go with the luck of Jamie, and you can't go wrong. All right. Yeah, I'd always rather be lucky. What is it? It's always better to be lucky than good. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Well, go with the lucky picks. I'm telling you. Dan and I will be going head to head, and we'll see who comes out ahead, skill or luck. So. Awesome. All right. Well, please, like I said, like and follow and subscribe. We are Horse Race the number 2 day on pretty much all of the social media out there. And that just helps us to get more attention, helps us to bring you more amazing guests like the one you saw tonight and like the ones that we'll have next week. And we greatly appreciate it. So we hope that we will see you on all of the social media. But no matter what, we hope that we will see you in the winner circle. Winner circle. Hey, good night, everyone.